Many of you, myself included, have been stuck in a place of pain, frustration, bitterness, and even depression as a result of experiencing narcissistic abuse. And in this place of pain, it's easy to focus on them, to focus on how they treated you, on how they manipulated you, how they used you, and how they silenced you. But what if I told you that all of these things focused on the narcissistic people are simply a distraction from the deeper pain that you need to face? We're going to call this the shallow pain of narcissistic abuse, which, don't get me wrong, it has its place. Like learning to swim for the first time as a youngster, you're going to get into the shallow end of the pool. But you don't want to stand there for too long because it keeps you out of learning how to swim in deeper water. So when you're focusing on how they treated you, how they manipulated you, how they used you, how they silenced you, you're going to be stuck in the shallow end of healing, distracting yourself by falsely standing on something instead of learning how to get deep. In this message, we're going to go deeper, and then we're going to go into the deepest part of healing so you can be free of the trauma bonds and the shackles and the chains that narcissistic abuse has thrown around you. Let's go there. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before I do get into this deep message with you, I want to let you know that I'm here to support you. Down in the description box below this video, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. Click on the link that says schedule one-on-one appointments. It will take you to my appointment page where you can choose a video call or a standard telephone call. In addition to taking one-on-one appointments, I also have a coaching program. My coaching program is live and in person each and every day. So if you're looking for that one-on-one accountability, but in a group setting, then head on down there. Get started in the coaching program. I would love to see you in class. By the way, this next week, we are doing our fasting, a 3-day water fast, which is good to recharge and to reset your mind, your body, your spirit. If you're into that type of stuff, head on over there, get registered. I'd love to see you in class. Now, we are talking about getting to the heart of the matter. That's right. We're going to get into the deepest part of healing and get out of the shallow end of the pool, which the shallow end has you focusing on how they mistreated you, how they used you, how they abused you, how they suppressed you. And while all of it is true on the outside, it's external-based thinking which can distract you from the deeper thinking that you need to start to pay attention to so that you can heal. So we're going to step out of the shallow end of the pool. We're going to go one step deeper, and then we're actually going to get into the deepest end, all right? It's not about how much they did wrong. Yes, we know narcissistically abusive people in this world are just nasty, right? We all know that, but it's not about how much they did wrong to you. It's how much you did wrong. And now I know some of you right now are going to say, Kevin, you're triggering me. I didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, the narcissistic person told me I was responsible for everything, and now you're telling me that I did everything. No. You didn't do anything wrong to them. You did things wrong to yourself. It's how much you did wrong to you. This is getting into the deeper water right here. The real pain, or the deeper pain of narcissistic abuse, is not about them. It's about how much you compromised. It's about how often you gave in. It's about how often you gave more. It's about how much you suppressed your own voice in that toxic relationship. We're going to go through each one of these a little bit deeper individually, beginning with the first one, how much you compromised. Now, it's important that we understand something. We're not talking about making a determination between eating pizza or chicken wings for dinner. That's not really a compromise because you like both. When we talk about compromise, we're talking about going against your own boundaries, going against your morals and your principles. One of the slogans of the Royal We Healing Program is narcissistic abuse is oftentimes the result of being with people you have no business being with, doing things you have no business doing, going places you have no business going, and this can, in fact, even be with family members. That's right. You can have family members or in-laws or best friends that in reality you have nothing to do, you should have nothing to do with. because you're not alike in any way, shape, or form. If you do that, if you compromise your life in that way, you become compromised. What does compromised mean? It means you're made vulnerable. You're made vulnerable to be attacked, to be misused. Look down at there, number 2. It actually impairs you and it diminishes you in function. It causes you to become weakened, damaged, and flawed. That's right. When you compromise your own boundaries in life, when you compromise your own morals, your own standards for the sake of somebody else, just because they're called family, or it's your husband, or it's your wife, when you compromise going against yourself, you become diminished, weakened, damaged, and flawed, and you're vulnerable to an attack. Compromising is not good. Again, we're not talking about trying to figure out if you're going to have pizza or chicken wings. That's not compromising. All right. Moving on to number 2, a deeper part of your pain is how often you gave in. How often you gave in, despite everything inside of you telling you not to give in. Don't take that telephone call. Don't show up to the family's party. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't let them in. Yet, you did it anyways. And it's painful. It's a deeper pain to realize how often you gave in. What giving in actually means is that you broke down your own discernment. This is a boundary breaker. Let's look at what discernment actually is. Discernment, for those of you who don't know, is the ability to perceive, to understand, and judge things clearly, especially those that are not obvious or straightforward. The way to look at discernment is a spiritual gift or a God-given gift. Some of you who don't believe in God, you can look at it as like spidey senses. No, it's not just some superhero thing in the cinematic Marvel universe or comic book thing. It's real. You have it and so do I. Some people call it a gut feeling or instinct. Whatever it is, something inside of you tells you not to go along with this person or with these people. That's your discernment. But oftentimes, we ignore our discernment or we bulldoze right over it. Maybe it's because of something they promised, because they're good at that. Maybe it's because they've manipulated you, sure. But at the end of the day, it's you going against your own discernment. And when you do this, it's very painful to have to face that reality that you broke down your own discernment. You went against yourself. Okay? How often you gave more. How often you gave more in the relationship. This is a deeper pain of narcissistic abuse because they do not reciprocate very well. What they do, what narcissistically abusive people, abusers and users in this life, they dangle a carrot in front of you while riding on your back. Like a cartoon of somebody riding a horse with a carrot on a fishing rod in front of the horse can never catch that carrot. It just runs and runs and runs trying to get that carrot with the rider on the back. That's what narcissistically abusive people, abusers and users, that's what they do to you. They hop right on your back and then they dangle some kind of idea or something in front of you, some kind of hope. We're going to talk about hope in a minute. Some kind of promise. They dangle it in front of you, right in front of your face, saying it's right there, get it. And you're running, carrying them, and you're never getting that carrot. You starve. And they lead you to believe that the more you give, the closer you're going to be to getting what you want. Whether it's love. And by the way, that carrot can represent anything. Love. It can represent affection. It can represent attention. It can represent connection. It can represent belonging. You can put whatever you want on that carrot, but it's dangled in front of your face, and you're giving more and more and more, and you're never getting there. All right? How often you gave more without realizing there's no carrot to be had, right? You're not getting it. Last one down here on the deeper part of your pain is how much you suppressed. You ended up suppressing your voice in that relationship. You suppressed your emotions. You suppressed your wants. You suppressed your desires. Now, once again, it's easy to say, well, they wouldn't let me talk. They wouldn't listen to me. But at the end of the day, the deeper part of the pain is just in how much you suppressed. You didn't say anything. And this is a big one. We have got to understand how important this one is. Suppressing your emotions. When you do that, it stays in the body. The effects of suppressed emotions include anxiety, depression, and other stress-related illnesses. A huge part of your anxiety and depression is how much you suppressed. This is why I do what I do, and I take one-on-one phone calls to take all that suppressed energy, all those suppressed things out of you, bring it out into the open so we can talk about it. And by the way, it does, in fact, cause stress-related illness, including autoimmune disorders. There is data that suggests that abusive relationships can be linked to stress-related illnesses, including your autoimmune disorders and various other issues. I've made a video about it. You can check the link right there, those of you who are struggling with strange and weird illnesses. Yes, it's a part of suppressing your voice, living under suppression. It acts out. That is the deeper part of your pain, but it's not yet the deepest. All right? There's one more layer, so buckle up. We're going to get into the deepest end. The deepest end. So if you see, the shallow end is focusing on them. That's the shallow end. The deeper end is focusing on, how can I do these things? How did I do this? It's acknowledgement. So from shallow, which focuses on narcissists, to deeper, which is acknowledging what you did, which is going against yourself, the deepest end is going to be looking at why. And it's hard to go into this territory. In fact, it's much easier to stand in the shallow end, constantly blaming the narcissist, than it is to get into the deepest part of the water. Because the deepest part of the water, the deepest part of healing that we're about to get into is going to be the breakdown and the destruction of everything you thought you knew to be true about this life. All right? The deepest part of pain is looking at why you compromised, asking yourself why you compromised. Why did you compromise yourself? Why did you do things with people you had no business being with, going places you had no business going, doing things you had no business doing? Why? Why did you give in? When your discernment said, don't do it, why did you? Why did you give more? Why did you keep giving and pouring of yourself without making sure you were filled back up? Why? You suppressed. Why didn't you speak up? Why didn't you let it be known what you wanted, what you were thinking, what you were feeling? Why? Why? This is the deepest part of the pain. The reason is, and it has nothing to do with the narcissistic people you've dealt with. It has everything to do with the indoctrination that you've been given. You've been conditioned in this life. You have been taught in this life to be a subservient, abused individual. This teaching is part of church, sadly, part of what your parents taught you, sadly, even institutionalized education. Indoctrinate, you've been indoctrinated to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. All right? Everything that we've been looking at, you've been indoctrinated. That's right. You're going to have to face the reality that you've been indoctrinated. You have been taught to be abused, which means you have to look at everything that you have been taught from your church, from your family of origin, even from public education. You're going to have to look at these things heavily. You're going to have to see where these things in life have taught you to be a certain way, have taught you to just roll over, have taught you to just accept things, have taught you not to stand up for yourself. So when we look at the real pain, the deepest part of the pain, the indoctrination, right? How much you compromised, how often you gave in, how often you gave more, how much you suppressed. A lot of these things are deeply tied into trust, hope, and love. 3 words that literally have been twisted and completely taken out of context. Yet, you and I have bought in to trust, hope, and love And we've attached all these things into them, compromising, giving in, giving more, and suppressing your true voice. I've made a video talking about trust, how trust doesn't even really exist. You should never in this life operate with other people based on trust unless you are unconscious and can make no decisions for yourself, in which case it's not trust because you have no choice. But in a world where you are healthy, alive, aware, and conscious, you have been given by your Creator eyes, ears, a mouth, and discernment, your spidey senses. You have enough to look at another person and judge them instantly as to whether or not they are good for you or bad for you. Trust becomes dangerous because what trust does is trust pulls you away from what's observable and creates another avenue for you to engage with a person or with a family member, despite what they're showing you. If you think about this, trust becomes delusional. So you have delusionally been engaging with people based on trust. You call it trust, but it's delusional engagement going against what's observable facts. Jesus didn't operate off of trust in the New Testament of the Bible. As a matter of fact, it is written, Jesus said, I do not trust. Jesus did not trust humanity at all. At all. Why? Because he knew the hearts of humanity. So why are you trusting people? Why should I trust people? You don't need to trust. We need to spend more time observing, collecting the data, and operating out of that. The next one down is hope. Hope is like trust. Listen, you don't need to hope that people will get better. We shouldn't be living in a place of hope that somebody's going to change. Hope belongs in the unseen. Hope belongs vertically. Hope belongs with your faith. Hope is to be given to God, not to other people. You don't hope somebody's going to be something other than what you can see they clearly are. Again, that gets into the category of being delusional. Last but not least, love. Love is, by and large, one of the most watered down, meaningless, formless words that we have all started to accept and live by. You can be abused by somebody, but if they say, oh, but I love you, even though I abuse you, I love you. I have heard so many abusive people in my life use that word love, and to the point where the word almost disgusts me now. I would rather live a life where I show somebody how I feel towards them and also receive what they have for me. In fact, it's a red flag now when I come across somebody who just does nothing but with their words say, I love you, but does nothing to show it. It makes no sense to me. But if you think about these three things, this is the deepest part of healing. Trust, hope, and love. These are the things right here, the reason as to why you compromised, how often you gave in, how often you gave more, how much you suppressed your emotions. Right. The deepest part of your pain is retooling. It's destroying, breaking down your past beliefs on trust, hope, and love. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to allow it to be destroyed so that you can build a new understanding of what relationships truly are, what you need in this life, who you are, what you have to give, and what you need in return, and how things like trust, hope, and love should not be a part of it. This is the deepest end of swimming in this world. And you can see how far away the shallow end is, just focusing on the narcissist, right? Standing on that, how they wronged you. But look at where we are now in the deepest end, looking at ourselves saying, wow, I need to retool, re-indoctrinate, re-educate myself, change my understanding of things like love, trust, and hope before I ever get into another relationship. Not easy to do, which is why we can focus so much on them. We can stay in the shallow end because it's hard to swim in this end in this deep end over here. But I'm here to help you do it. That's why I'm here. Down in the description box is where you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. If you do need to talk, simply click on that link. It's going to take you to my appointment page where you can select a video call or a telephone call. In addition to that, I do have a coaching program. So for those of you who want the one-on-one accountability, head on down there. I would love to see you in class. I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We. Until I'm here, select one of these videos to watch. YouTube has set the algorithm for you. If you found this video helpful and useful, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button and share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We. Bye, everybody.